Hell, this is me. Well, hello friends. Making a YouTube video for my Welcome Stranger channel on YouTube. And I thought I would drive out to a local forested area to have a little bit of a different kind of a background today. This is a parking lot for a Pennsylvania State Game Lands hunting area. I just thought I'd walk up to the sign here and then back toward the vehicle. And I was trying to think of a subject to talk about today. And I remember, I believe the last video that I made, let's see, what was that about? Oh, I was talking about mongooses on Okinawa. And I wondered, how in the world did I get into that? And the way that happened is I was talking about how it is when you get old, how you feel, and the fact that I had diabetes type 2, and that took me to the idea of Okinawa, mentioning Okinawa, because I hold a lot of Agent Orange on Okinawa. I was in the U.S. Army Transportation Corps, and we hauled everything that was needed for supporting the Vietnam War in Vietnam, but I was stationed on Okinawa. And we hauled guided missile guidance systems and beer and ammunition, ammo, food, anything you could think of, including Agent Orange. And I think I have I made a video about Vivian and I and how we got together, and a real short, I think a 16-minute video on our lifetime together. And in that, there's a segment about when I was on Okinawa. And I believe there is a picture of what's called a POL yard, petroleum oil liquids. And you can just see hundreds and hundreds of barrels. And most all of them was, there's a deer fly wanting to get into my hair here. But most of the barrels you see there had Agent Blue and Agent Green and Agent Orange. Anyway, today I wanted to get on to something else. And this is an opportunity. I guess it still exists as an opportunity for anybody that loves the outdoors and wants to get involved in it. Well, we'll see if this is the right perspective using this little tripod. So I'm out here this morning at a place I call Tenants. That's a place where a tenant family used to live. Their last name was Tenants. That's been about 60 years ago, but the game land's got it since then. Tore the house down. And I thought I'd come out into the open air and talk to you a little bit this morning. And the subject that I had in mind is something you might like to do if you like the outdoors. And it's a little tougher to do it right now with the regulations that's on it. But I'm talking about hunting a plant called ginseng. And my wife and I had 7 children. One of them was born with spina bifida, and he has walked with crutches and been in a wheelchair also. He has had a rough way to go. He was only supposed to live for 8 years, they said, but he's 58 now, and he's still with us. Anyway, there was 3 other boys. No, I'm sorry. 3 boys altogether. There's 2 other boys and 4 girls. And those 6 children I taught how to find and hunt and handle ginseng. And we used to walk through the woods of Pennsylvania here, southwestern part of the state, in Greene County. And when summer was over, we used to walk through these woods all summer long, gathering ginseng. And when summer was over, it was time to take furs in, because I was a trapper, a fox hunter and a trapper, muskrat, mink, coon, possum, skunk, and things that had valuable fur. I participated in the outdoors that way. I wouldn't do it now. I don't even like to hurt anything. I mean, I used to step on spiders, and I even feel myself feeling funny about killing anything that's alive right now. But that's me. That's the lifestyle that I finally come to. I grew up being a hunter and a trapper. Anyway, I taught all of my children how to hunt ginseng. And at the end of the summer, we would take the ginseng into the Cherokee trading post, or fur post. It was a place that bought pelts off of trappers. So it's kind of a disappearing place now. You don't see very many of them. But anyway, we would take the ginseng in at the same time we took the furs in, and just from the ginseng, we made enough money to rent a beach house in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And I'm going to put a few of the photos in here to give you an idea of an example of what kind of beach house hunting ginseng would make possible. And we would drive down to North Carolina and stay there for 9 to 10 days on an extended family vacation, just from hunting ginseng. And when I finally quit hunting ginseng, I was getting $1,000 a pound for the roots. I hear something pounding up there in the woods. I don't have any idea what it is, but anyway, I'm going to put a few of those photos in this video. And I just wanted to tell you that the ginseng population actually benefited from our presence in the woods, because you know, nature takes different approaches to propagating plants, and one approach is what ginseng did. It would produce a berry pod, and the berry pod would have maybe 30 or 40 berries on it, and when they turn red and they fall off, they're ripe, they're ready to go to the ground and germinate. And we used to take the berries and help them to get the proper depths under the soil, the leaves and things. But the plant itself produced enough that the law of averages, maybe 2 or 3 ginseng plants might take hold if they got the right depth of soil and sun, on water and cover, so that the animals and birds and things don't get them. Out of 30 or 40 seeds on one pod, if just 3 or just 2 actually would take hold, then it's increasing in abundance, and we would help that. So if you'd go back into any of the places where we used to hunt ginseng years ago, it's probably, probably 6 or 8 times as many ginseng plants in there now as there was when we went in there. But Penn State, the university in Pennsylvania here, sent me a survey that I could take voluntarily if I wanted to help them understand ginseng. And I wondered, how in the world did they get my address? Well, as it turns out, I do remember one day Mark at the Trading Post said, okay, so all we got to do now is fill this form out. And I said, oh yeah? Okay. And I walked over with him to he had like a lectern stand there and where his fur was that he could write on. He walked over there and said, your name Ken Rockwell, you live at so-and-so address over in Greene County. He says, okay, so here we go. Where did you find this ginseng? And I said, Mark, you kidding me? He said, no, no. We couldn't. My goodness, would that take some writing, because we used to walk 300 and 400 miles in the summertime and early fall hunting ginseng. And my goodness, I keep track. He said, no, I just want to know the county. That's all they're asking for, is the county where you found. I said, Greene County. Okay. So that was good enough. But then he had my mailing address on there, my physical home address, and that's how they sent it to me. And here's what they asked. They said, Mr. Rockwell, when you go hunting ginseng and you decide on a new woods, what kind of trees are you looking for that you would like to go into because you think there might be ginseng in that woods? Well, I thought about it for a while, and I thought I'd investigate a little bit further, and I thought, well, what do you want this for? And as it turned out, the reason was they were getting ready to pass some new regulations on hunting ginseng. And I noticed that they did list ginseng in the the hunting digest. Every year when a hunter went to buy his Pennsylvania hunting license, trapping license, he would get a digest put out by the Game Commission that had all the season times of the year when things came into season and out of season, and daily limit and season limits and squirrel hunting and turkeys and everything, deer. And I noticed a few years back, ginseng showed up. You was allowed to hunt ginseng. And then one day I ran into a friend of mine. He was a deputy state game protector and a Pennsylvania state trapper. His name was Andy Ewart. And I got talking to him in the parking lot, and I said, "Hey, Andy, I got to ask you something." I said, "I know that they put the season, the limits, and everything for hunters in the Game Digest. And you put out all these beautiful game lands with parking lots. And Pennsylvania set the standard for the whole rest of the country. And we got a great deal going here with these game lands. And that's where we hunt. You don't even have to own any property in Pennsylvania. If you just get your hunting license, you can go out to the state game lands, and they're managed real well by land managers, and it's just a wonderful thing to do. So that's where I do a lot of hunting. Now, I hunt for the things that are listed in the Game Digest. One of them is ginseng. Am I allowed to hunt ginseng on the game lands? And he looked up at me and said, "Well, I think that's the biggest mistake they made in a long time." He said a lot of people never even thought about hunting hunting a plant. And he said they didn't even know about ginseng, what it looked like. But now, since they listed it in the Game Digest, everybody's going to find out, and they're going to go looking at it and learning about it. And it's going to cause people to dig a whole lot more of it than what they used to. So I think, Andy was right that way. Because I did, as years went by, ran into a lot of places in the woods where I saw that the ginseng had been harvested, but it hadn't been planted. They just ripped the roots out and throw the top down and go. So I didn't fill that survey out. 3 years in a row, they sent me that survey wanting to know more information about ginseng. And for 3 years, I didn't volunteer any information. And then I even asked a couple state game protectors that I ran into in a restaurant. I said, "What's the deal with ginseng? Can you hunt it on state game lands?" And they looked at each other. Neither one of them knew for certain. They didn't know, but they knew it was listed with the animals you're allowed to hunt. Finally, the state game protector, the main one there, that was responsible in the area, said, "You're going to have to call up north and find out, because I can't give you a right answer on that." So he's supposed to enforce the law and didn't even have it clarified to him that's what it was. Okay, so the laws come out on Pennsylvania Game News website, and basically what they do is they agree with the federal land's opinion on it. And here's the way it is. I've walked through the woods across Pennsylvania way back in for 50 years, no, 60 years. And I hunted for ginseng most of that time. And I noticed that every late July and up to the middle of August, big, nice four-pronger with you know, a crown on top, 4 prongs like that. When it got to be late in the summer, they would just fall over like this and then lay flat and turn yellow with the stem going back here where it used to stand like this. It just fell. And it laid the berries down easy, and they would all be ready, you know. You can't plant green berries. You have to wait till a certain time of year, actually, and concentrate on getting your ginseng while you still have time, because in the middle of August, the stuff is dead already. And it's, instead of being a beautiful, crisp looking green color, it's yellow. Now maybe there's some 3-prongers that are still green, but the state said you're not allowed to hunt 3-prongers. You're only allowed to harvest 4-prongers. It has a central stem coming up, and then it branches into 4. And each one has 5 leaves on the end of it. And they're like level with each other, horizontally across there. They don't go like this or anything. Ginseng has 2 little leaves in the back and 3 big ones up front. Well, they said you're not allowed to start hunting ginseng. The season on it starts in September. And goes to the end of November. Well, crying out loud, you're waiting for the ginseng to die before you're allowed to start hunting for it. Anyway, you still can. There is a window of time that the state allows you to hunt ginseng. And in one way, it's, you know, I see what they're doing, because you have to wait till the berries turn red before they're viable, and you can use them to propagate the plant and make it more populated. You can't bury the green ones, so if you hunt it before they're red, you're just killing it. So anyway, there is a window of time there. Now, I don't know if you want to get real technical and you're out there, say, now I'm just giving you heads up on this stuff. If you're out there, say, through the summer months, and it doesn't have any berries on it, and you're hunting it, I don't know if there's anything that the state can say if you're not digging it. You're hunting. And if you see where it is, well, it's not like a deer, not like a squirrel. It can't run and get away. So it's going to be there when the berries do get red. So what you could do is you could, I'm just giving you some of my experience. You could get yourself a good GPS, or maybe even use your phone. Walk through the woods, find some ginseng somewhere. Look and see if there's any 4-prongers on there, because it's not going to change to a 4-pronger as the summer goes on, unless it, you know, it's going to start out that way. So if you see 3-prongers and 2-prongers, that tells you ginseng is in the area. Look around and find the old ones, and if you see any there, you can mark down your GPS coordinates. You were ginseng hunting without digging it. So mark it down in a little notebook, the coordinates, and how many 4-prongers you saw, maybe even taking a photo or 2 of the area, and then go on and build yourself a compendium journal, so that when you're allowed to hunt now and the first day comes, you can start harvesting. And then don't hunt it from the first day, which is in September, to November. Harvest it at that time, because you already hunted it and found it, recorded it, and you have the coordinates. Now you just go out and harvest it. So you could just about get as much ginseng now as you ever could if you do it that way. And I was walking out, the last time I was hunting it, I was out by Sugar Grove, and I was walking on a big log, must have been about this big around, lying down in the woods, and came to an open area where a tree had fallen down and opened up the canopy, and a light come through, and the grass grew like it does when a light gets into the woods, and the weeds got kind of high, and this log was lying through some of that open area there where the grass was high. And I walked out, and it looked like I saw a ginseng plant underneath the curve of the log there, and I wanted to see it, so I put my foot down to step down, and here under the grass, the ground underneath the grass was like this, and then the grass was high, but right here was a dip for some reason, and I couldn't see it. And when I went to step down like that, I just kept going a little further than maybe a foot further than what I was expecting. And when I hit, it snapped my knee, and oh my goodness, the worst pain I ever had. And when I went to the doctor to have it checked out, he said that I had a frayed meniscus. He says it didn't break, but it's frayed. So he shot some cortisone, is it? In my knee, right in my knee. In between where the plates are, I guess there's cartilage there, and he shot some of that stuff in there, and that's all I had done. And oh my goodness, I couldn't hardly sleep at night. When I would get ready to get up out of bed, just thinking about it and tensing up, there'd be this, it's like a lightning strike of pain right through my knee. So it was hard to get out of bed. And when I finally got over that, I could walk, but getting older, folks, can't help that much. And my knees are giving me trouble now, to the point where I can't really go out and walk into the woods over rough ground, and they won't take a beating like they used to. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about the possibility of maybe having a new avenue in life, especially if you're somebody that loves the outdoors. And I had a friend who used to come visit every once in a while. We live on a hill in the countryside under pine trees and a big old farmhouse. He'd come up there and sit down. Ron was his name. We would talk a little bit, and when I look back at it, I see how funny it was. He called my place the Wild Kingdom. We have bears would bypass our place just over the hill. He was a security guard for Consolidation Coal Company, and he used to see him once in a while, and he'd come up and say, "Hey Ken, I see you got grandkids out in the yard. I just want to let you know there was a mother with 2 cubs just over the horizon heading north across the property, and I just wanted to let you know." So we talked like that a good bit, and he was asking me about ginseng one time, and I told him, well, I said, I'll tell you what, Ron, I bet you I could find ginseng with my eyes closed. He started laughing and said, "Hey, now listen, you have to see it." I said, well, I'd open my eyes up and see it, yeah, because I'd know it was there before I opened my eyes. He said, "And how's that?" I said, "You ever heard of a wood thrush? You talking about a bird?" I said, "Yeah, bird. Yeah, special kind." I said, "This bird, I don't want to say it's antisocial, but when it gets here each year and it's looking for a place to lay some eggs, to raise some young, it goes into the deep woods, the big woods. It doesn't like orchards and farmyards and city yards and gardens. It's not that kind of bird. No, no. This thing is solitary. And it's got a strange song. I couldn't repeat it. But when I hear it, I recognize, I know what it is. It's the old wood thrush. And I see it all the time in the big woods, especially where there's these big oaks and beech trees. Giving myself away a little bit on what kind of woods, but it's okay. I wanted Ron to know. He says, well, how did that work? I said, well, if you put a blindfold around me, around my eyes, and go with me so I don't run into any honey locusts or any dangerous trees, I said, you just get me through the woods there and we'll keep going. And when I say, hey, stop right here, Ron, it'll be because I hear the song of a wood thrush. And you know what that tells me? He said, what? I said, it tells me I'm in a nice deep woods. Yeah, dark, deep woods, the kind where ginseng is likely to grow. And I know that because the little bird let me know. And he looked at me real strange for just a second, like that. Then he jumped up off the chair there under the pine tree. He says, I'm getting the hell out of here. He said, I don't know about you, Rock. There's something, I don't know. And he was saying that as he was walking over to his car. I told him the little bird told me. But it's true. Anyway, folks, that's it for today. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it if you help me to get this channel going a little bit more. I got lots of things I got to say before I go to leave with you people. Been there and done that for so many things. Anyway, what do they say? Would you take the time to subscribe and like and whatever else you want to do? Help me get this thing moving a little bit. Thank you. Have a good day. So long, friends. This video has come to an end. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot about ginseng hunting. I'm trying my best.